Hi friends, Prepared Suburbanite here. Welcome back to the channel. I've been extremely busy for the last week or so, taking steps and implementing our revised prepping plan. And what that calls for me is a reorganization of our food storage area and building some more, at least assembling some more storage units and just getting stuff opened up so that I've got more access to more storage. So stick around. So I guess the first thing that really does need to be said is if you had the occasion over the last week or so to turn on the news, all you've heard is just doom and gloom from pretty much everybody. Even the mainstream media outlets, MSNBC, CNN, ABC News, NBC News, CBS, all that, even, of course, Fox, just ripping the current administration apart for everything from what's going on in the economy, the inflation stuff that we're experiencing right now. It's pretty dire right now. If you're looking at the price of food, the price of transportation, pretty much the price of anything, except maybe lumber that does come down a bit, you're finding that inflation is just going crazy. The issues at the southern border, the immigration problems that we're experiencing, the relocation of hundreds of thousands of migrants, immigrants, illegal or otherwise, is a challenge that we need to be prepped for, I think, because we've got some dire consequences upon us right now. Issues with foreign affairs. The Afghanistan withdrawal was a total mess. Just finding out this week that the drone strike that was designed to kill an ISIS-K operative turned out to have killed 10 friendlies. Yeah, that's not really good. General Milley, who's a disgrace to his uniform and a disgrace to this country, still hanging out, he's still doing his thing, shouldn't be. He needs to be court-martialed for what he did. The issue with jobs. There's a huge job market out there, millions and millions of people unemployed, and somehow they're not getting together. And all I can think of is that's a leadership issue from our federal government, and I don't know the answers to that, but there does need to be something. Removing the incentives to not work could be a good start. The issues surrounding the COVID pandemic, the mandates, the Fauci ouchies, the booster jabs, all that, it's just almost crazy in my mind that we are, 18 months, 19 months into 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and it's just basically out of control. And gee, our current administration can't seem to figure out why. Well, peddling fear, peddling misinformation, peddling conflicting messages really does it for pretty much everybody that has a half a brain. The divisiveness in our country is not getting any better, Mr. Unity President. In fact, you're making it worse. So I'm very concerned about what's going to be coming down the pike with the division, and the election of 2022 can't get here fast enough. I'm concerned about the erosion of our freedoms and our liberties, the attacks on the Second Amendment, the attacks on the First Amendment, the top-down mandates, the totalitarian dictates that we're getting, the authoritarianism that we see perpetuated on a daily basis from the current administration. We used to be a nation of laws. And when the current administration just ignores the laws, deliberately fails to enforce the laws, we end up in a situation called WROL, a world without the rule of law. And I'm very concerned about that, which is why I revised my prepping plan. We have traditionally stored our extra foods and supplies and all that kind of stuff in the extra bay in our two-car garage. It's sort of heated and sort of climate controlled. We do have a couple of vents in there. It's not as well insulated as it should be, but the temperatures generally stay in the winter time well above 50, and in the summertime probably 70 to 75. Unless I open up the garage doors and just let it fill up with this 90-degree heat that we're having in North Carolina right now. But that's what I've been doing, using that as storage. I've got 5 or 6 6-foot tall shelving units that we've devoted to our canned goods, the number 10 cans, the extra supplies of this and that. And there's not a whole lot of room in a one bay of a 2-bay garage that you can truly utilize and still be able to get around in there. And I also use the parking bay for my shop. And I did get a comment from a viewer a week or two ago that said, "Hey, can we get a shop tour?" Well, my shop is kind of like a Swiss Army knife. Everything is movable, everything is fold-upable, and I got enough room to pull the Jeep in the garage and keep it out of the weather during the day and at night and stuff like that. But when I've got to set up the shop, I roll out the miter saw, I roll out the table saw, I roll out the planer, and we set them up in the proper areas. I've got dust system controls and stuff like that. So it takes about 45 minutes to an hour or so to really set up the Swiss Army shop. And so I'm not really going to plan on doing a video of a shop tour. It might be fun to just kind of watch me do a setup one day when I start working on a project. But be that as it may, I want to go through some of the steps that I took to get ready for the expansion in our storage areas. So I filmed the assembly of the shelving unit during the day yesterday, and it was even hotter yesterday than it is today. Extremely humid. I was sweating like a pig. At working in the garage, and it was like 75 to 77 degrees in the garage itself, but it was so humid that anyway, just absolutely unbearable is what it was. The shelving unit is a typical $100 unit that I picked up from Lowe's Home Improvement, and it's just their regular standard brand kind of a thing. I think it's got five shelves, 6 foot tall, 3 foot wide, 18 inches deep. And when I was getting ready to make the purchase, I checked a couple different places around, Ace Hardware and Home Depot, and Lowe's has got the better price, and I get a discount there anyway. So that's where I went to buy it, and looking it up, I saw on their website the comments, and the way you got to put this thing together, you assemble the the bottom two shelves, and then that leaves two posts sticking up like that, or four posts in the corners. And then they've got a plastic wraparound tool that you use to as an aligner, an alignment tool, so that you can attach the posts for the top part to the posts from the bottom part. And it works okay if you're working by yourself. You can get that thing strapped on there. It lines it up, everything just nice, and you can put that stuff in there. But they are certainly not perfect, let me tell you. But the comments was that this aligner tool, people were using it as the actual connector for the top and bottom and complaining that it really didn't do its job. Well, its job was just to align the posts while you put the thing back together again. So anyway, I saw 4 or 5 of those comments on the Lowe's website and just kind of laughed. So I thought I'd go through my experience putting the assembly together, and we'll laugh about it as we go through. This is from Project Source, the company, which I think's a kind of an exclusive thing for Lowe's home improvement stores. I've been using these off and on for the last 10 years or so, and I found that they're pretty rugged. They're not the best in the world. I mean, if you want to, this was a $100 unit, and if you want to spend $200 or $300, you can get the full chrome ones on wheels and adjustability and all that kind of stuff. But for the purposes of what I need it for down here in the food storage area and the one bay of my garage, this does just fine. And like I said, it's a $100 unit. So let's get busy unpacking it. And the assembly instructions, which I guess are pretty important. So we'll see what kind of trouble we're going to get in with this. These are tools. These are not the connectors to put the bottom attached to the top. These are the alignment tools that you need to, the installation and alignment tools that you need to put the top on the bottom. I've read an awful lot of negative comments about the shelving unit, and folks were actually trying to use the tool as the connector and then would complain that it didn't hold up very well. Well, it wasn't designed to. These are the install tools. Okay, what I've done so far here is I've got this long panel on one, probably the front or the back, and then the two sides. Got the legs in, and I spaced this up one little spot because I like to keep it up off the floor. We do get every once in a while heavy rainstorms. We do get a little bit of water that kind of seeps into the garage floor, so I like to keep it up just a hair so that stuff on the bottom shelf doesn't get buggered up with the water. So you take your next post, line it up with the holes, just tap it into place. Get your next leg, set that in. Just a light tap is really all it needs. Take your long piece, that one's in. And the last one sometimes can be just a little bit persnickety. Just make sure that they're all tapped in and down. Measure up to where you want your next shelf. Put your cross pieces in all the way up, and then repeat for the top part, and then we'll put them together later. And here's where the tool comes into place. You get your first shelf, your second shelf, all four legs, everything's square, everything's secure. And now you insert your tool, and it's just a tool. And it goes just like this, where you're going to be overlapping this hole and this, so that you can put your next leg down in here. So it actually goes like this. You wrap it around, bend the corners, wrap it around, and then there's a little catch right here. There's a slot that it kind of fits in, and you got it there. When you get your next post, you put your post in here, wrap it around there, and you should be good to go. So with the legs installed in the tool, that wraps around and clicks into there. You grab your next shelving leg. The install tools work as sort of an aligner to put the posts together and kind of hold it for you if you're working by yourself. They do sort of what they were designed to do. They are a little wonky to work with if you're by yourself. I'd suggest that you grab a helper and just have the helper steady things while you line things up and get the rivets in the right holes and tap them into place. So I got them all put together, got the bottom attached to the top, got to put one more course of shelving across the top, and we can put it in place and then put the particle board shelves in, and we'll take it from there. So here we go. So the last thing to go on are the actual shelves themselves. They are really not very thick. I think they're 5/16 of an inch, and it's pressed particle board. So, but they are supposed to be rated for 800 pounds. We'll see how they do. The ones that I've been using in the past have held up. So I guess they're good enough. We'll see. But if you want to, you can cut half-inch plywood or particle board that's a little bit thicker, and I think it'll fit in there okay. But let me go put the shelves on. Well, I will say there was one thing that Joe Biden did that was, in my book, the right thing to do. So he lifted the tariffs on Scotch whiskey. So pretty much there you have it. We got the unit put together, got the shelving pieces in there, the particle board, and everything kind of came together the way it should have. I think I've actually got enough room for one more 6-foot shelving unit in there, and I might do that next month as we go through. But now the second phase of the implementation plan is to go through our store's inventory, and I ended up having to toss a bit of stuff that had aged out, cans were damaged, that kind of stuff. So I've starting to make a list. My wife's working together with me on that, and we're making a list of the things that we need to fill in, the things that we need to expand, rice and beans and canned goods and powdered milk and you name it. It's all going to go on the list. And then over the next couple, 3 months or so, we're going to get all that stuff, put it in there, now that we've got a good place, a solid and secure place to keep all that stuff. And it's going to basically give us an additional 50% in our preps. Last time I did a somewhat detailed estimate. I've got enough food storage for my wife and me, just the two of us now, to last us probably 8 or 9 months without ever having to go to a store again. All the food, the water, the freeze-dried stuff, the vacuum-packed stuff. I think we've done a good job over the last couple of years to really get that in place. And with the expansion and the current situation in the world, I felt the need to expand on that. I've got 2 adult kids, and it's very possible with their kids, so I've got 4 grandkids as well, that we may end up being the place that, if the S does hit the fan, that this homestead may be the place that everyone gathers. We'll see how that turns out, but I want to be prepared for that. If I've got to reach out and assist my family with anything that's they're going to be experiencing, I want to make sure I'm well prepared to do it. Hopefully you found this helpful, some fun, and this is the Prepared Suburbanite, reminding you to be prepared always, and I'll see you all on the next video.